To me, keeping exotic pets is a very rewarding hobby. You get to observe animals and learn their distinct characteristics. And it's not as difficult as you may believe. The hardest part is determining what pet to get first. Notice I said first. This hobby is addicting. In this video, I'd like to share with you a little about keeping snakes, lizards, and tarantulas as pets. By the end of this video, you should know some of the husbandry requirements. In other words, how to house and feed them. And also afterwards, you may even want to start your own exotic pet zoo. So let's talk about snakes. I have 4 types of snakes: ball python, sand boa, blood python, and Mexican black king snake. Today, I'm only going to talk about ball pythons. According to Reptile Magazine, ball pythons are the most popular pet python in the world. They tend to be a bit shy, but they make great pets because they're relatively small, usually 3 to 5 feet. They're generally friendly and come in a large array of colors. So if you have anywhere from $25 to $35,000, you too could get the ball python of your dreams. Let's talk about habitats. Ball python habitats are simple and cheap. Since they're shy, especially juveniles, they prefer a small container that they can't see out of. I like to use the $7 containers from a local box store. Now, substrates are what you line the cage with. There are many types available, but the cheapest and easiest is just plain old newspaper. When it's dirty, you can throw it out. You put a hide in so they can hide, a water dish, and that's about it, other than a heating device, because you want to maintain the temperature around 85 degrees on one side of the container. So, for less than $100, you have a healthy snake and a safe place for it to live. Now let's talk about feeding. Feeding ball pythons is fairly easy. Preferably, your ball python should be feeding weekly on frozen thawed rodents. Frozen thawed is recommended because live rodents can actually attack and harm the snake. Ball pythons will eat a rodent that is roughly the same diameter as the snake. So get ready. In this video, I'm feeding Jack a frozen thawed rat. Jack has been raised on frozen thawed, and as you've seen, he's what we call an aggressive eater. Now let's look at lizards. I have 3 lizards: a leopard gecko, a bearded dragon, and a blue-tongued skink. Since the skink was a stinker and didn't play well, I'm going to talk to you about the other 2. According to bestpetlizard.com, leopard geckos and bearded dragons are number 1 and 3 respectively on their top 5 list of best lizards as pets. Both are docile and small in size with many different behaviors to observe. Additionally, they're relatively inexpensive, costing on average of $50. Habitats for these animals are very similar. It's preferable to use a front opening enclosure in order to allow easy access to your pet. Inside, they need a hide and a water dish. Geckos are nocturnal, so no special lighting is needed. Bearded dragons like to climb, so a beardy hammock is useful. Additionally, beardies are active during the day, so they need UV lighting. Both require a tank heater to maintain temperature, but the beardies require an additional basking spot where they will sit and enjoy more heat. Feeding these guys couldn't be easier or cheaper. Geckos are insectivores, so they eat all types of insects and worms. Beardies are omnivores, so they eat the same insect as the geckos, but they also require green leafy vegetables to round out their diet. And finally, tarantulas. I saved my favorite for last. In my opinion, tarantulas are the easiest and most interesting pets to maintain. Currently, I have 10 different species of tarantulas. I won't go through all of them. According to tarantulas.com, watching a tarantula grow from a speck to a hand size becomes a favorite experience, and I couldn't agree more. My love for exotic pets started with a tarantula 2 years ago. I'm now hooked. For as little as $10, you could begin your journey as well. Many people ask me about handling my teas. I don't handle them. It's more for their safety than mine. If I drop one, it will die. If it bites me, it will hurt, but I won't die. You wouldn't handle a fish, would you? Tarantula habitats are the simplest and cheapest of all. As long as there's a lid and the hole's small enough that they can't crawl out, you have a suitable enclosure for a tea. I've used deli cups all the way up to glass aquariums to house my teas. As far as size goes, you want it to be big enough for the tea to move around some, but small enough they can find their food. As a means for survival, teas usually stay hidden until they get older. You put a layer of coconut fiber in the bottom, add a hide and water container, and you're ready to add your tarantula. Feeding teas is the most fun. Teas feed weekly on crickets or roaches. It costs about 20 cents a week to feed each tea. All you have to do, drop the insect in and watch the fireworks. Teas are ravenous eaters. They pounce on their food, and most often afterwards they do a little dance by waving their big fat butt and turning in circles. Check YouTube for tea feeding videos, then sit back and watch the fun. In closing, I'd like to thank you for letting me share my hobby with you. Hopefully you can see what makes this hobby so rewarding. If not, well, then at least you should know a little of what it takes to raise snakes, lizards, and tarantulas as pets. I want to remind you, this video was brought to you by I Bit Off More Than I Can Chew Productions.